The smell of yeast and warm sugar was my sanctuary, the rhythm of kneading dough my heartbeat. My little bakery, tucked away on a quiet street corner, wasn't just a business. It was the place where my hands remembered how to create life after the nest emptied. But to David, my husband of 25 years, it was just a hobby. "It's cute, Claire," he'd say, patting my hand before heading off to his important corporate job, the one with the corner office and the six-figure salary. "Keeps you busy, doesn't it?" He never saw the 4 a.m. alarms, the flour dusting my hair like premature gray, the aching muscles after wrestling 50-pound bags of grain. He didn't taste the nuance in the sourdough starter I'd nurtured for years, the one whispered about by local foodies. To him, it was just bread. Insignificant. Much like, I was beginning to fear, he saw me. Our children were grown, successful in their own right, launched into orbits far from our quiet suburban life. David's career was peaking, filled with late nights, business trips, and colleagues I never met. My world, meanwhile, revolved around the warm glow of the ovens, the cheerful chime of the bell above the door, and the quiet satisfaction of a perfectly baked loaf. It was small, yes, but it was mine. I poured my savings, my energy, my very soul into Claire's craft bread. It was more than a hobby, it was the architecture of my second act. David, however, only saw the flour smudges on my apron, not the meticulous accounts I kept or the marketing flyers I designed myself. He saw a wife playing shopkeeper while he conquered the world. The disconnect grew, a silent chasm widening between his polished leather shoes and my flour-dusted boots. He started talking more about Brenda from marketing. Her sharp suits, her aggressive strategies, her availability. I tried to ignore the warning signs, burying my anxieties in batches of brioche and croissants. Perhaps I was just tired, overworked. Perhaps I was imagining the distance in his eyes, the way his phone calls became hushed whispers when I entered the room. But the truth, like dough left to prove too long, eventually spills over the sides. One Tuesday evening, after I'd spent 16 hours perfecting a new rye recipe, he came home early. He didn't ask about my day. He didn't even seem to notice the exhaustion etched onto my face. He just stood there, silhouetted in the doorway between the kitchen and the living room, and dropped the bomb. "Claire," he said, his voice devoid of the warmth I once cherished. "I'm leaving. Brenda and we have something real. Something dynamic." He paused, his gaze sweeping over me, lingering for a moment on my apron. "You'll be fine," he added, a dismissive wave of his hand. "You've got your little bakery to keep you occupied. Just try not to let it fail, okay? It's not like you'll ever amount to anything beyond that corner store anyway." The words, sharper than any bread knife, sliced right through me, leaving me standing alone in the sudden, deafening silence of our kitchen, the scent of yeast mocking me with its promise of life. The days following David's departure were a blur of legal papers, sympathetic murmurs from friends, and the hollow echo in a house suddenly too large for one person. His parting words, "Never amount to anything beyond that corner store," played on a loop in my head, a cruel soundtrack to my grief. He'd taken his suits, his ambition, and his condescension, leaving behind 25 years of shared memories that now felt tainted, like sourdough starter gone sour. He and Brenda, he'd informed me coolly during one brief, transactional phone call, were moving into a sleek downtown condo. He was already a vice president. She was fast-tracked for promotion. They were a power couple, he implied, scaling heights I couldn't even comprehend from my little shop floor. Some mornings, waking up before dawn felt less like dedication and more like punishment. The bakery, once my sanctuary, sometimes felt like the cage David had accused it of being. Doubt gnawed at me. Was he right? Was this just a quaint distraction, destined to remain small and insignificant? Could I really manage this alone, not just the baking, but the bills, the suppliers, the sheer weight of responsibility? The loneliness was a physical ache, settling deep in my bones. Yet, amidst the pain, something else began to stir, a flicker of defiance. My hands, roughened by work but steady, knew the rhythm of creation. They knew how to take simple ingredients, flour, water, salt, thyme, and transform them into something nourishing, something beautiful. Maybe David saw weakness, but my hands remembered strength. I threw myself into the work with a ferocity I hadn't known I possessed. 16-hour days became 18. I experimented relentlessly, pushing the boundaries of fermentation, exploring ancient grains, perfecting the crust, the crumb, the very soul of my bread. Customers noticed. The regulars offered quiet words of support, their loyalty a balm to my wounded spirit. New faces appeared, drawn by word of mouth. One afternoon, a woman with a notepad and a discerning palate introduced herself. She was a food blogger, a small local one, but her eyes lit up as she tasted my signature multigrain loaf. She asked questions, scribbled notes, and promised a review. I didn't think much of it. David's voice still echoed too loudly until her post went live a week later. Claire's Craft Bread. More than just a bakery, it's an experience. The headline read. She raved about the complex flavors, the artisanal dedication, the soul-warming quality of my work. It was the first external validation, a tiny crack of light in the suffocating darkness of David's dismissal. Maybe, just maybe, he was wrong. Maybe this little corner store held more potential than he, in his tailored suit and narrow vision, could ever see. The thought was terrifying, exhilarating, and utterly mine. The blog post acted like yeast in warm water. It caused a slow but steady expansion. More new customers trickled in, mentioning they'd read the review. Weekends became busier, the small space often filled with people patiently waiting for a warm loaf. The increased traffic was validating, but it also stretched my resources thin. I was still a one-woman show, essentially, handling baking, sales, ordering, cleaning, and bookkeeping. Sleep became a luxury I could rarely afford. There were days I felt utterly overwhelmed, staring at a mountain of dough that needed shaping or a pile of invoices that needed paying, the ghost of David's laughter echoing in my ears. "See? Too much for you," it seemed to whisper. One particularly brutal week, my main oven decided to stage a protest. It died mid-bake, leaving me with half-finished loaves and a line of disappointed customers. The repair costs were staggering, a figure that made my stomach clench with anxiety. I sat alone in the darkened bakery that night, surrounded by the smell of failure, tears finally spilling over. Was this the end? Was David right all along? I pulled out my worn ledger, the numbers swimming before my eyes. It was tight, dangerously tight. Paying for the repair would mean skimping on a crucial ingredient order, or delaying a utility bill. The weight of the decision pressed down on me. Just as despair threatened to engulf me, I remembered my grandmother's words, "Waste not, want not, child. There's always a way if you look hard enough." I spent the next few hours poring over my recipes, my supplier lists, my budget. I found small efficiencies, renegotiated a payment term with a sympathetic vendor, and decided to run a baker's special sale on slightly imperfect loaves from the previous day to generate quick cash. It was exhausting, painstaking work, patching the holes in my sinking ship. But as I worked, the defiance returned. Stronger this time, I would not let David be right. I would not let one broken oven break me. The following week, the repaired oven humming reassuringly, a distinguished-looking man entered the shop. He didn't browse like the usual customers, he observed. He bought one of everything: sourdough, rye, brioche, even a simple baguette. He ate small pieces thoughtfully, right there by the counter. Before leaving, he handed me his card. Arthur Sterling, it read. Food critic, the City Chronicle. My heart leaped into my throat. The Chronicle was the city's biggest newspaper, its reviews capable of making or breaking restaurants. I heard whispers, he said, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. Interesting whispers. Expect my review next Thursday. The door chimed shut behind him, leaving me rooted to the spot, a mixture of terror and fragile hope churning within me. This wasn't just a local blog anymore. This could change everything, or it could confirm my deepest fears. The week leading up to Arthur Sterling's review was agonizing. Every loaf I pulled from the oven felt like it was under scrutiny. Every customer interaction felt like an audition. I replayed my brief conversation with him endlessly. Had the crumb on the sourdough been too dense that day? Was the rye seasoned perfectly? David's voice returned, whispering doubts. You're aiming too high, Claire. Stick to what you know. Don't embarrass yourself. I tried to push it away, focusing on the familiar comfort of flour on my hands, the heat of the ovens, the loyalty of my regulars who seemed blissfully unaware of the storm brewing inside me. Thursday morning arrived, gray and drizzly. I practically ran to the newsstand down the street, my hands trembling as I unfolded the City Chronicle's lifestyle section. And there it was. A full-page spread, complete with a professionally shot photo of my rustic sourdough loaf, looking like a work of art. The headline read, Hidden Gem, Claire's Craft Bread Elevates Humble Loaf to Culinary Masterpiece. Arthur Sterling hadn't just liked the bread, he'd understood it. He wrote about the patient fermentation, the depth of flavor, the passion evident in every bite. He called my little shop an antidote to mass-produced mediocrity, and declared my sourdough the best in the city, perhaps the state. He even mentioned the warm, authentic atmosphere cultivated by the owner herself. The impact was immediate and overwhelming. By 8 a.m., there was a line stretching down the block. The phone rang incessantly. My website, the simple one I'd built myself, crashed twice from the traffic. I sold out of everything by noon, something that had never happened before. People weren't just buying bread. They were congratulating me, shaking my hand, telling me they'd read the review and had to come. It was surreal, exhilarating, and utterly exhausting. For the next few weeks, the bakery was a whirlwind. I hired 2 part-time helpers, college students eager to learn, just to manage the crowds and keep the shelves stocked. The exhaustion was profound, but it was different now, tinged with triumph, not despair. One rainy afternoon, amidst the controlled chaos, a woman in a sharp business suit entered. She navigated the crowd with practiced ease and waited patiently until I had a free moment. "Claire?" she asked, extending a perfectly manicured hand. "I'm Eleanor Vance, from Vance Capital Partners. Arthur Sterling is an old friend. He insisted I come taste for myself." She gestured towards the empty shelves. "It seems I might be a little late for the sourdough, but what he described, and this," she waved a hand at the bustling shop, "is very compelling. We invest in promising artisanal food businesses with growth potential. Have you ever considered expanding?" The question hung in the air, thick with possibility. Expansion? Me? The woman whose husband thought she couldn't manage a corner store? Eleanor Vance smiled, a shrewd, appraising look in her eyes. "Perhaps we could have coffee next week. I have a feeling Claire's craft bread could be much, much bigger than this." Meeting Eleanor Vance felt like stepping into a different world. Her office was sleek, minimalist, overlooking the city skyline, a stark contrast to my warm, flour-dusted bakery. She listened intently as I spoke, not just about my bread, but about my journey, the long hours, the near failure with the oven, even, hesitantly, about David's dismissal of my work. She didn't offer pity, only sharp questions about my process, my suppliers, my vision. "Passion is essential, Claire," she said, steepling her fingers, "but scalability requires systems, structure, ambition. Could I be ambitious?" The word felt foreign, something belonging to David's world, not mine. Yet, looking at Eleanor, a woman who clearly commanded respect and built success on her own terms, I felt a spark ignite. Why not me? The decision to accept Vance Capital's investment wasn't easy. It meant giving up some control, entering a world of projections and board meetings I knew little about. It meant trusting strangers with the business I'd poured my soul into. But Eleanor wasn't just offering money, She offered expertise, connections, and a belief in my potential that went far beyond Arthur Sterling's glowing review. She saw not just a baker, but a businesswoman. After weeks of negotiation, careful planning, and more than a few sleepless nights wrestling with fear and excitement, I signed the papers. Claire's craft bread was no longer just mine. It was poised for growth. The first phase was exhilarating and terrifying. We secured leases for 3 new locations in strategic neighborhoods across the city, replicating the warm, rustic feel of the original shop, but with more efficient layouts. We hired and trained new bakers and staff, instilling in them the same commitment to quality and craft. I was stretched thinner than ever, racing between locations, ensuring consistency, putting out fires, and learning the language of expansion, logistics, marketing, HR. There were mistakes, setbacks, moments I questioned my sanity. But seeing the Claire's Craft Bread sign go up on a second storefront, then a third, filled me with a pride that overshadowed the exhaustion. It was during this whirlwind period that something unexpected happened. I'd been experimenting with natural food colorings, swirling vibrant beet, spinach, and turmeric powders into my sourdough starter, creating loaves with stunning, psychedelic patterns. Initially, it was just a creative outlet, a bit of fun amidst the stress. I called it rainbow sourdough. We put a few loaves out in the original shop, more as a novelty. A customer snapped a picture, posted it on Instagram with the hashtag Claire's Craft Bread, then another. Then a food influencer with a massive following bought one, sliced it open live on their feed, and gasped at the vibrant colors. The post went viral. Suddenly, everyone wanted rainbow sourdough. It became our signature item, a visual hook that drew people in, both online and in person. Orders poured in. Media outlets started calling again, this time not just local, but national. My little hobby wasn't just growing, it was exploding, fueled by the unexpected magic of colorful bread. The phone rang one evening. It was Eleanor. "Claire," she said, excitement buzzing in her voice, "we need to talk. This rainbow sourdough thing, it's bigger than we thought, much bigger." The rainbow sourdough phenomenon catapulted Claire's Craft Bread onto a national stage. What started as a whimsical experiment became our calling card, featured in lifestyle magazines, morning talk shows, and countless social media feeds. The demand was insatiable. Our 3 new locations were instantly profitable, lines forming before opening each day. Eleanor and her team at Vance Capital were ecstatic, but also pragmatic. "This is our moment, Claire," she told me during an emergency strategy meeting. "We need to ride this wave, but smartly, controlled expansion, maintain quality above all else." The next 2 years were a blur of calculated growth. We didn't just open shops, we built a brand. We streamlined production with a central commissary kitchen, ensuring consistency while still adhering to artisanal methods. We invested heavily in training, creating a bread university program for our bakers. We launched a sleek e-commerce site, shipping our signature loaves nationwide, packed carefully to preserve freshness. I hired a talented COO, Sarah, who became my right hand, managing the day-to-day operations while I focused on quality control, recipe development, and being the face and soul of the brand. From 3 locations, we grew to 10, then 20, then 27 strategically placed across the East Coast. Claire's Craft Bread became synonymous with quality, innovation, and that Instagrammable rainbow loaf. I was living a life I couldn't have imagined just a few years prior. I flew to new store openings, spoke at food industry conferences, and even judged a prestigious baking competition. I bought myself a comfortable, light-filled apartment downtown, smaller than the house I'd shared with David, but entirely my own. Yet, amidst the whirlwind, I never lost sight of the core principles: the quality of the ingredients, the respect for the process, the connection with the customer. The smell of baking bread still grounded me. Meanwhile, whispers of economic trouble began to circulate. The stock market faltered, corporations tightened their belts, and talk of layoffs grew louder. David's industry, finance, and high-end consulting seemed particularly vulnerable. I occasionally heard snippets about him through mutual acquaintances or our children. His firm was undergoing restructuring. Brenda apparently had jumped ship to a competitor months ago. He was stressed, working longer hours than ever, the power couple narrative seemingly dissolving under pressure. I felt a strange detachment hearing this news, not malice, but a quiet sense of irony. While his world, built on volatile markets and corporate maneuvering, seemed precarious, my hobby, providing a basic, comforting necessity, proved remarkably resilient. People might cut back on luxuries, but they still needed bread. Good bread, especially, felt like an affordable comfort in uncertain times. Our sales remained strong, even grew, as people sought solace in simple pleasures. One afternoon, Sarah, my COO, forwarded me an industry news alert. David's company had just announced significant downsizing. His entire division was being eliminated. His VP position, the one he'd lorded over me, was gone. He was out of a job. With Claire's craft bread thriving and expanding, the next logical step was establishing a proper corporate headquarters. We weren't just a collection of bakeries anymore. We were a rapidly growing national chain. We needed a central hub for management, marketing, finance, and HR. We leased 2 floors in a modern building downtown, not far from Eleanor Vance's offices, and began the process of building our core corporate team. It felt monumental, signing the lease for that much space, interviewing candidates for executive positions. Me, Claire, who David thought couldn't manage a corner store, was now hiring directors and VPs. The irony wasn't lost on me, but I didn't dwell on it. My focus was on finding the right people, individuals who understood our brand's ethos, quality, community, passion, but also possessed the strategic vision to guide our continued growth. Sarah and I spent weeks sifting through resumes, conducting interviews, building the team that would shape the future of Claire's craft bread. We needed a strong marketing director to harness the momentum we'd built and guide our national campaigns. The applicant pool was impressive, filled with experienced professionals eager to join a successful, feel-good brand in a turbulent economic climate. One evening, I was working late, reviewing a final batch of promising resumes for the marketing director role. My eyes scanned qualifications, past experiences, cover letters outlining passion for the artisanal food movement. Then, one name jumped out at me. David Miller. My David Miller. My breath hitched. It couldn't be. I clicked open the attached resume. Vice President, Corporate Strategy. His old title at his now defunct division. Before that, various senior management roles. Impressive, on paper. Coldly corporate, then I opened the cover letter. It spoke glowingly of Claire's craft bread's meteoric rise and authentic brand identity. It described the applicant as having a lifelong passion for artisanal food and a deep appreciation for businesses built from the ground up, with dedication and craft. There was absolutely no mention of our shared past, no acknowledgement that he was applying to the company founded by the wife whose dream he had mocked relentlessly. He wrote as if he were a complete stranger, an admirer from afar, eager to contribute to the success of this inspiring bakery chain. I stared at the screen, the words blurring slightly. Lifelong passion for artisanal food? The man who exclusively bought supermarket white bread and called my sourdough hippie food? The man who told me I'd never amount to anything? Applying for a job. At my company. The wave of emotions was complex: shock, a flicker of bitter amusement, a strange, hollow echo of past pain, and underneath it all, a quiet, steely resolve. The pile of resumes felt heavy in my hands. His was just one among many, but it wasn't, was it? It was a ghost from my past, knocking on the door of my present. I sat there for a long time, David's resume glowing on the screen. Part of me felt a perverse urge to call him in for an interview, just to see the look on his face when he realized who the CEO was. To watch him squirm, forced to pitch his passion for artisanal food, directly to the woman whose passion he'd ridiculed for years. The thought brought a fleeting, bitter satisfaction, but it faded quickly. That wasn't who I was. My success wasn't built on petty revenge, it was built on flour, water, salt, and relentless hard work. Bringing him into this space, even for a moment of uncomfortable confrontation, felt like it would taint what I'd created. His application wasn't competitive anyway. Compared to the other finalists, marketing executives with proven track records in the food and beverage industry, people who understood brand building from the ground up, who genuinely lived and breathed the ethos we cultivated, David's resume, despite the VP title, felt hollow. His experience was in abstract corporate strategy, mergers, and downsizing, not in connecting with customers or celebrating the craft of baking. His cover letter, filled with buzzwords and feigned enthusiasm, rang false, especially to me. He didn't understand the soul of Claire's craft bread because he'd never bothered to see the soul in the woman who created it. I moved his digital file into the rejected folder with a decisive click. There was no malice in the action, just a calm certainty. He wasn't the right fit. It was that simple and that complex. Sarah and I finalized our shortlist, and a week later, we hired a brilliant woman with incredible experience and genuine excitement for our brand. She was perfect. A few days later, our standard rejection emails went out. But for David's, I paused. A simple, automated no felt incomplete. Not because I owed him anything, but perhaps because I owed it to myself, to the Claire who stood heartbroken in her kitchen years ago. I typed out a brief, polite, standard rejection notification. Then I added something else. I arranged for a company gift card, enough for a few loaves of our best bread, to be sent along with the letter. And I added a short, handwritten note on my personal company stationery. It read, "Dear Mr. Miller, thank you for your interest in Claire's Craft Bread. While we appreciate you applying, we have decided to move forward with other candidates whose qualifications better suit our current needs for the marketing director role. We wish you the best in your job search. Please accept this small gift to enjoy some bread from my little hobby. Sincerely, Claire Miller, founder, CEO." I sealed the envelope myself and placed it in the outgoing mail. There was no anger left, no lingering bitterness, just a quiet sense of closure. David had once defined my world, confined it to the corners of his expectations. Now he was just an unsuccessful applicant, a footnote in the story of the national chain born from the hobby he dismissed. As I walked through the bustling headquarters, the aroma of possibility stronger than ever, I knew my worth wasn't tied to his approval or disapproval. It was baked into every loaf, built into every store, and reflected in the resilient spirit of the woman who had finally learned to rise. And so, Claire closed that chapter, not with anger, but with the quiet confidence of someone who built her own table instead of waiting for a seat at someone else's. Her success wasn't about proving David wrong, but about proving herself right. What do you think is the most powerful form of revenge? Confrontation, or simply living your best life and letting your success speak for itself? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing your perspectives on these stories of resilience and transformation. If Claire's journey inspired you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more compelling revenge stories and family dramas.